Easiest video ever. Looking at the title of this video is pretty clear. I'm looking at my most favorite Fightstick that I've owned probably within the last 3 or 4 years. This one is the one, man. Definitely. The enclosure we're looking at today is known as the Espada, made by fellow arcade enthusiast Jony Fraze. Funny enough, he was one of the first content creators I've seen making content on Fightstick and arcade parts. I was encouraged to make my own reviews and such, which you can say he's probably one of the reasons why my channel even started in the first place. So to see things come full circle and buy a Fightstick from the man who kind of got me involved in the first place is pretty cool. What's even cooler is I was able to get their specialized artwork from the collab that is Klever Art and Jony Fraze, which them two combined is known as JXD Designs. I hope I got that right. I'm gonna leave that in there and hopefully I got it right. I gave this guy like a cut up like fucking JPEG and smashed the shit together, and he got it, he nailed it on the first try. Don't know what kind of magicianry, I don't know how much stats he has in his fucking wisdom and stamina, whatever. Clever man, you're an extremely talented guy. I don't know how you do it. You guys will see the final product and you'll know what I'm talking about, but we'll wait until we cross that bridge. Like my all Fightstick video, I do give you guys two tastes. I gave you a simple version, and then the more eccentric version is the one I ended up with. As I said before, enclosures aren't exactly the most exhilarating thing to me because they do serve the same purpose. However, they do house the parts you do choose. And the parts I choose for this build, I'm gonna have like small reviews for the parts I use. I'm gonna talk about how you put the Espada together very briefly, and then we'll go into the full build. Let's get into it, guys. I hope you guys enjoy it. I had a blast shooting this. Jony, Clever, thanks again. Let's get to it.
Welcome to the revolution. Hey, come on, come on!
The Espada, like many other enclosures, share a simple design done efficiently. It's made out of MDF with a flat black finish. Just make sure to be more kind than I was to mine, as I contracted the Linus Hands Techno Virus grip as I grabbed one of my panels. Though this was of course after I removed the protective film already, so in your case, don't remove it unless you need to. Each respective panel comes with the acrylic panel as well, so you don't have to go out and source your third-party acrylic from somebody else. One of the big attractions for this enclosure is the newer layout, as people find it more comfortable than the usual Vuelix button layout due to the spacing from the joystick and the arc of the buttons. There are two main parts that hold this thing together, first being the dummy-proof cutouts from each panel. The side panels key into the top and bottom panels from these cutouts, while at the same time bind together with these finger joints. Side note, be sure to line up your NutriPort correctly for your artwork, as it is off-center, which I totally did that. Then we have the standoffs, which fastens everything together. The included feet for the bottom panel will screw into the bottom of the standoff, then screw in the top portion, and bam, you're done. On the interior, it can accommodate Korean levers and Japanese levers for those who are curious. There is a dedicated area as well for a brick board, which finishes out the seamless installation. The Espada is a great candidate for those who want to show off their artwork, as the top and bottom panels are about 1.5 feet wide, which in comparison is about as wide as my Dragon and my all Fightstick, but the Espada is taller than both. However, it may be larger externally, it is smaller internally, as the interior rectangle shape doesn't reflect the size of the panels. With that said though, you will be able to fit whatever you need to put inside nonetheless. I did want to do the simple design mainly because I know there's a lot of Espadas with huge artworks and great pieces on them, but I know there's some people out there who like to have a more tamed look. But if you are looking for some artwork, there is a free print that's on Focus Attack, which you can either download and print yourself or get them to print for you. And now that we have the simple version done, it is time to look at the eccentric version and my favorite version. I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I do, because god damn does this thing look good. Woo! So if you couldn't fucking tell, this artwork is fucking fire. For those of you who've been here for a while have noticed I gave you bits and pieces to let you know that I like G Gundam. G Gundam was one of the first animes I saw when I was a little baby child, which got me into the whole thing that is anime. Everybody quotes Cowboy Bebop. I'm just sitting here like, this hand of mine is burning red. And then you have Eliza, which is pretty much a character that got me into fighting games entirely and was the beginning of it all. Motherfucker shit! So as I decided that Eliza was my mainstay for fighting games and for anime, G Gundam was, why not bring both worlds together that got me into both respective hobbies. In G Gundam, the pilot wears this super tight catsuit, which looks a lot better on the artwork than it would ever on me, and whatever moves they do inside are mimicked from the Gundam from the outside. On the bottom side, you have a more demonic depiction of Eliza with the bloodlust look, and I thought the red was gonna clash with the teal, but the teal actually just brings the red out a lot more, and just the overall look. Looking at the two mods I did for this thing, I had some Quickley's hood latches that I had from my project car from who knows how long ago, and I never really seen anybody use these on a Fightstick before, so I figured why not now. Originally I was going to use 4 on the top so I can just remove the top panel, but in order to do that I would have had to make the wires for the auxiliary buttons a lot longer, or I would have had to have like the auxiliary side panel come off with it, so I figured it'd be easier to put it on the bottom panel. And then a Sanwa JLF finally had a purpose. I used the spring to keep attention. But Alex, if you made it on the bottom, then why do you have them still on the top? Because I committed way too early. You're probably wondering how the side panels are staying together without them popping out. I JB welded them together. So unfortunately they're in there for life, and I may come back to it at a later time and put hinges on it. I think if I put hinges on it, I think it'd be like the last mainstay, or I might do it on another Espada. Wait, what? Then I made a reinforced metal panel. I didn't really do this for any other reason because I just wanted a solid top panel. I notice I don't like it when there's nothing supporting the buttons, as it makes it feel hollow to me. That's just a main gripe for me, and I think that's why I like the Dragon so much, because no matter where you are on the Fightstick, it feels solid. But it was just something I wanted to do. Nothing a problem with the Fightstick in general. So let's talk about the two things that I can really only talk about in the Fightstick. Starting off with the buttons, I chose the ones that are most recommended in my button roundup video, and a lot of you guys were disappointed that it weren't in there. The gamer finger buttons. As most of you know, these use mechanical keyboard switches, which in my case I use Otemo Sky stems and springs inside of a Cherry MX housing. I lubed them with some spray lube that I just sprayed into a cap, and then I applied with a brush. You're probably wondering why I didn't use the whole switch. I had some weird intermittent problems, button presses got more trash, I raged. The fuck? The fuck? The fuck? Know how much this costs? Fuck this thing. Watch out, watch out! And I swapped the housing and key piece on Earth, and they've been fine ever since. They are a tactile switch, so there is a bit of resistance at the top, requiring about 55 to 60 gram worth of actuation force, giving me that tactile crunch, what they say Mitsu actuation force. Of course, using my usual scientific methods. Even though they use mechanical keyboard switches, they do have a soft bottom out, similar to a Sanwa silent pad. Over time, I have begun to prefer silent style buttons, especially after I came across the Sanwa OBSFEs, because I never thought a silent button can actually feel good. But I would be lying if I didn't say I miss the traditional feeling of the click and clack as you use a audio cue to confirm any combo or whatever button press you're using, especially when you get the vibration from the button itself. The feel of the gamer fingers though have won me over temporarily. I kept the stickers on because they look so good in B-roll. That's kind of the only reason I kept them on. Should I just re-adhesive them and just put them down again, or should I just rip them off? But for those of you who are curious, I did a quick sound test of the buttons that I have here currently. So let's jump to that. Sound check. And then out of the darkness, the obvious joystick choice had shown its face. The Sanjuks V6, which stands for very sexy. Now sporting an all aluminum body compared to its Delrin brothers, the V5 and the V5C, my setup with the V6 is pretty much the same as I ran my V5, with the Omron 6A5s, the 32A grommet, and the 15mm actuator from Bandit's actuator set. The current setup I'm running is the best of both worlds. I can play 2D and 3D fighters. In comparison to the base model V5, the corners are a little bit bigger, and and the actuation is a little bit softer. The V6 has two noticeable differences from its predecessor, one being the 9mm matte black aluminum shaft, which gives a cleaner neutral recoil and obvious weight loss. I'm not sure if it's the core clearance or the matte finish from the shaft, but the combination gives the bat top less spin, which I actually surprisingly like this time around, since it's not as restrictive as the golden lever where I would occasionally have to adjust my finger placement during a combo. Like the V5C before it, you can swap the collars from a full collar, a short collar, and a short squircle collar. I chose the simple short collar because I didn't really care for the squircle, and I don't feel like cutting my plexi for the full collar to fit, even though the Espada does come with a 35mm hole. If you have a V5 or a V5C though, this is not a mandatory upgrade, as they share the same interior design down to the squircle guides, actuator options, and the V16 switches, which is why I didn't really feel like this needed a full-blown review. Oh, and I also swapped out the bat top because it originally sat too low and fatigued my hand a lot more, especially with the V16 Omrons, so I swapped out to a bat top that I've been holding on for an entire year, maybe in some change, which finally came in handy, the K-Dit bat top. In simple terms, it's not countersunk, so it gives me a little bit more added height, which fixes my problem. But for visual, this is the crown, and this is the K-Dit. And yeah, that's it for the V6. Now for the miscellaneous things, I sleeve my cables this time around. I use a Mainframe Customs paracord cable. I would recommend to get two 25-foot paracord rolls, just to have some leeway if you decide to change the route that your wires go, which I did 2 times, so I ended up not having enough my first time around. I do think it came out okay. It didn't come out exactly how I wanted, so I may return to it in the future, but I would definitely be doing it to my all fight stick, because out of the Espada and the all fight stick, those are the 2 main ones that I'm gonna be keeping. The Dragon, we'll see. I also got the Shuriken PCB to clean things up a little bit, but unfortunately it doesn't fit my 6A5s, so I had to go back to the V16s until I get 3A5s to make them fit, which this arrived like 2 or 3 days before I released the video. On the bottom side, I used some grip tape. It was actually from a drone build that I had just chilling off to the side that I just never used. And the main reason I used grip tape instead of the foam padding that Jony originally supported me with, mainly because I just did not want to cover the bottom artwork at all. I know I'm not going to see it. I know nobody else is gonna see it. I know it's gonna be out of my peripheral vision, but it's just too nice. It's just too nice. And for the small gripes that I have with the Espada aren't very many. The edges of some of the plexi can be a little sharp, for a lack of a better word. When I was playing on it, my forearm would kind of rest on the edge as I was playing, and it would dig into my forearm after a while. During shorter play sessions, maybe about an hour to an hour and a half, I wouldn't really feel it, but when I got into those like long fucking I'm gonna beat that ass session and constant rematching every time, I did use some sandpaper to rub down the edge to make sure it doesn't dig into my forearm as much, and it hasn't been a problem at all since, though I do still feel it every once in a while, and I think I just need to go over it again. So guys, yeah, that's it. That's it for this video. That's my Espada. That's my most favorite fight stick of all time. Look at it. I'm gonna gloat about this thing forever. This is my favorite fight stick, period, man. Klever, Jony, again, you guys killed it. Thanks again, I really appreciate it, and I don't think it's ever gonna be replaceable. It's gonna be my background like forever. As most of you know, we got the Discord for you guys to make conversation with other degenerates like yourself, and then you have my Twitch channel, which I haven't been streaming recently. One last thing, I know this video is getting kind of long, but I don't know how I forgot this, because I've been working on a video for the last 6 to 7 months called Don't Give Up on Fighting Games. It's gonna be coming out sometime next month, the latest at May, maybe. I usually don't plug my videos for future reference, but this video in particular, I put a lot of work in, and I hope you guys enjoy it. But when it comes out, please watch it and let me know what you think. And just like any other project I would finish up, it's time to run it through its paces and let you guys know of the final product. Thanks again for watching. Peace out. Until next time. Enjoy.